Arrival of the British East India Company. In this module, you will learn about the arrival of the British East India Company. Alicia and Sophie are preparing for a quiz contest, which is going to be organized in their school. The theme of the quiz is the arrival of the British East India Company. Let's see what discussion is going on between them.
Sophie, we need to ask each other all possible questions on this topic. We just have to be fully prepared for the quiz. Yes, you're right. Let me ask you the first question. Who was the founder of the British East India Company? The British merchants were the founders of the British East India Company. Correct. Now it's my turn. Tell me, when did the British form the East India Company? The British formed the East India Company in 1600 CE with the permission of Queen of England, Elizabeth I. But Alicia, can you tell me, why did the British and the other Europeans come to India? I'm not sure, but I can guess. After the Industrial Revolution, Britain became interested in India because it needed raw materials for its industry and new markets to sell its manufactured goods. What kind of raw materials you're talking about, Alicia? By raw materials, I mean items such as indigo, cotton, etc. Yes, you're right. But I have heard that the British also wanted to promote Christianity and its teachings in the East. So I guess we can consider it as another reason for which the British came to India. Yes, of course. Let's move to the next question now. Can you tell me which Mughal emperor gave permission to the British traders to establish trading centers in India? The company obtained permission from the Mughal emperor Jahangir to trade in India. Yes, you're right. Now, my turn. Tell me, where did the British establish their early trading centers in India? Let me recall. The British set up their early trading centers in Surat, Bombay, Kolkata, and Madras. Is that correct? Yes, that's correct. By the way, Alicia, I have read that England was not the only country which was trying to capture new markets. Apart from the England, other nations were also started trading with India. Can you name those nations? Yes. Apart from the British, the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the French came to trade in India. Correct. Now you ask me the next question. Can you tell me about the impact of the British rule on Indian society? The British East India Company impacted the Indian society in both positive and negative ways. Let me tell you about the positive effects first. The main objective of the British in India was to trade. Thus, in order to facilitate it, the British introduced many reforms, such as wider roads and railways for faster transportation, machines to run industries, postal and telegraph services, etc. This practice led to the decline of the self-sufficient rural economy of India. Absolutely. I think we have covered all the possible questions for quiz by now. Yes, Sophie. I think we have covered almost all the questions. I'm sure we will win the quiz.
Let's recap. The British established the East India Company in 1600 CE with the permission of Queen of England. The British established their trading centers at Surat, Bombay, Madras, Kolkata, etc. The British came to India with the twin objectives of trading and promoting Christianity in India. Apart from the British, the Dutch, the Portuguese, and the French also came to India. The arrival of British had both positive and negative effects on the Indian society. Battles. In this module, you will understand the significance of the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar. It is the history class, and all the students are excited to learn about two important wars which shaped the Indian history. Let's see what's happening in the class. Before we begin our discussion on the two wars, let me ask you a few questions to see how much you have remembered from the previous history classes. Are you ready for that?
Yes, ma'am.
First question. When did the English East India Company come to India as a trading company?
Ma'am, the English East India Company came to India in 1600 CE.
That's correct. Next question. Who gave permission to the British to set up a factory at Surat in 1615 CE?
Ma'am, I'm not sure, but it might be Jahangir. Am I right?
You are absolutely correct. You would also recall that initially the East India Company was established to trade in India. But with the passage of time, they found that Indian rulers are not united and they had weak and incompetent successors. The country was fragmented into smaller territories. The Britishers wanted to use the circumstances prevailing in India to maximize their profits. In order to bring more territory under their control, the British fought many wars. The Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar are two such important wars. Let's begin with the Battle of Plassey. Battle of Plassey was fought by the British in 1757 CE with Siraj-ud-Dowlah, the Nawab of Bengal. As Bengal was the richest province, the British wanted to bring Bengal under its control. To meet the purpose, the British started maintaining army in Bengal and began to fortify Calcutta. When the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Dowlah, was informed about it, he asked the British to leave Bengal without any delay.
Did the British leave Bengal?
That is an interesting question. But unfortunately, the British refused to leave the Bengal. Therefore, the Nawab of Bengal declared war against the British. Can you guess who emerged victorious in the battle?
I don't know, ma'am. But if I may guess, the British should have been victorious.
You're right. In this battle, Siraj-ud-Dowlah was captured and killed. It was an important step for the British towards the conquest of Bengal. Now, let's move on to the Battle of Buxar. The Battle of Buxar was fought between the Nawab of Bengal, Mir Qasim, and the East India Company in 1764. Mir Qasim was not happy with the policies of the British. Therefore, he launched a war against the British.
What happened in this battle? Who won it?
Again, the British emerged successful in defeating the Nawab of Bengal. Finally, the Bengal came under the British rule. Thereafter, the British adopted various clever policies to bring most of the local rulers under their control. You know, Alicia, one interesting fact is that the British not only suppressed local Indian rulers, but also defeated other European powers such as the Dutch, the Portuguese, and the French. Alicia, Sophie, did you understand this?
Yes, ma'am. I understand that. The victory of the British in the Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar paved way for the British rule in India. It was nice topic. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, my dear. Let's recap. The British came to India in 1600 CE. The initial motive of the British was to trade. Gradually, they brought large territories under their rule. They defeated local rulers by adopting clever policies. The Battle of Plassey and the Battle of Buxar were fought between the English and the Nawabs of Bengal. They also suppressed other European powers. Thus, after these two important battles, the English established their control over India. The Revolt of 1857. In this module, you will trace the events of the Revolt of 1857. Today, Alicia and Sophie watched a movie at school on the First War of Independence, which is also known as the Revolt of 1857. They are very excited and are curious to know more about it.
It was a wonderful movie, isn't it, Sophie? Yes, it is always fascinating to know about our country's past. After watching this movie, my curiosity has increased even more about the history of Indian freedom struggle. Hello, Mom. Hello, Auntie.
Hello, children. It seems you have enjoyed a lot in school today.
Yes, Mom. Today we watched a movie on India's first war of independence.
That's great. What did you like about the movie?
It was based on the history of First War of Independence. Many sections of the Indian society at that time began to realize the truth of exploitative policies of the British. People were living in chaos and fear. Indian soldiers working in the British Army were not happy with the British. They were equally qualified and deserving like the British soldiers, but they were not given due respect and higher positions in the army, which were reserved for the Europeans. They faced prejudices, discrimination, and unequal treatment in many forms. One day, Indian soldiers got angry when infield rifles were introduced for their use.
But what was wrong with these rifles? Sophie, can you tell me?
Yes, Auntie. Let me try. The cartridge of this rifle had a greased cover, which had to be bitten off before being loaded into the gun. A rumor spread that the cartridges of the new rifles were greased with the fat of cow and pigs. It hurt the religious sentiments of both Hindus and Muslims alike. After that, Indian soldiers refused to use this cartridge, and this led to the friction and conflict between the Indian soldiers and the British. Finally, it resulted in the Revolt of 1857, which is also known as the First War of Independence. This revolt began at Meerut, but soon spread to the northern and central India.
Well explained, Alicia. Just a small addition to your narration, it is also known as the Sepoy Mutiny. Sophie, are you familiar with the names of the leaders of this revolt?
Yes, there were many important leaders such as Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi, Nana Sahib, Tatya Tope, and Kunwar Singh. Mangal Pandey was also a famous figure of this revolt. But Mom, I have a doubt. What happened after the revolt? Was it a failure or success?
That's a good question. It shows your curious nature, which is required to learn new things. At that time, the British were successful in suppressing the revolt. The British government suppressed the revolt. The revolt failed because it lacked proper leadership and planning. Thousands of Indian soldiers were put in prisons and many were hanged. Nevertheless, it was successful in many ways. It had a far-reaching impact on the future of India.
Mom, how did the revolt of 1857 shape Indian history in the coming years?
Look, the revolt of 1857 is considered a turning point in the history of India for the following reasons. The rule of British East India Company came to an end. Indian administration came directly under the control of the British Crown. Queen Victoria was declared the Empress of India. Viceroys were appointed to look after Indian administration as the representatives of the Queen. Let's recap. The first freedom struggle took place in 1857. It is also known as the Sepoy Mutiny. The main reason of the struggle was the discontent of Indian soldiers with the British. Discontent and anger of the soldiers came to the surface when new Enfield rifles were introduced. Though it was suppressed by the British, yet the revolt holds a significant place in the modern Indian history. After the mutiny, rule of the East India Company ended and administration of India came under direct control of the Crown.